So we talked about having the pages on your website. Oh, hold on. So I got a question here from George Shotwell. George, thanks for joining me. Thanks for your question. What's the average cost to build each page? That's a tough question to answer. Could be just labor cost, right? If you've got somebody on your staff that understands the internet or has a web format that they can build out, could be just labor cost. You pay a web development company, some of them charge a couple $100 for every page. We have a program where we actually do all of this on a bundled fee, but that's something we can discuss at a later time. But thank you very much for the question. We can talk afterwards if you want to know about pricing for specific things. So we talked about building out the site, so we've got pages for each one of the services that we want to rank for. Now we need to optimize those pages. We need to make sure that when Google comes across the page, it understands what's it about and can put you in the search results for that specific keyword. So on each page of your website, there's some very specific things you want to do. You want to have a unique title tag with your keywords. And I'm going to explain what that is. I'm going to show you visually what it is. You have to have the H1 or the H1 tag restate what your keyword is. And remember, so your homepage is for plumber, plumbing, or HVAC, air conditioning, but then your water heater page is for your city plus water heater installation, water heater repair, etc. So you want to make sure that you've got your keywords in the title tag, the H1 tag, the image, so the name of the image, the alt tag attribution for the image. You can have your keywords in the URL to really make it easy for Google to understand what your page is about and add you to the index for the right keywords. So this is what I mean when I say you want to update your title tag. So the title tag, you can see on the image that arrow is pointing to the very top portion of the browser. And if you go to your website after this webinar and you look, you'll be able to see what your title tags are for your home page and your About Us page and your services page. But what I typically see is that title tag reads something like Joe the Plumber or Joe's Plumbing or whatever the name of the company is. And intuitively that makes sense because that's your company name, but people aren't necessarily going to type in your company name when they need your services. They're going to type in your city plus plumber or your city plumbing, your city air conditioning. So this title tag is one of the clearest indicators to Google or the search engines what the specific page on your website is all about. So you want to add your keywords as far to the left as possible for the keywords that you want to rank for. So if you're Joe's Plumbing Company and you happen to be in Orlando, then you probably want to put Orlando Plumber, then your company name, Joe's Plumbing in Orlando, Florida, and some other variation. You can use 64 characters in the title tag on your homepage and each of the pages of your site, so you can be creative, but you want to use your main keywords at the far left. You definitely still want to keep your company name in the title tag on your homepage specifically for Google Maps optimization purposes. So Greg's got a question on title tags. How often can you change your title tag? Does changing the title tag frequently affect Google? And this is something it's a matter of opinion, a matter of debate. I really feel like the title tags on your pages should remain pretty constant as long as you're ranking for the keywords you want to rank for. So if the keyword is Orlando Plumber or Denver Plumber and Denver Plumbing, and you've got that strategically positioned in your title tag on your site, you don't want to change that too often. You don't want to change it on the subpages. What you do want to change is the text on the page so you can keep the site active, and you definitely want to be adding blog content to a blog portion of your site where you're adding new pages, you're adding fresh content, so the page is vibrant, it's constantly being updated, but I don't necessarily recommend going in and always changing your title tags. I hope that answers your question, Greg. Feel free to write a follow-up question to that if you have one. So again, you don't want to just do the title tag like this on your homepage. You want to update the title tag on each of the subsequent pages of your site. So I've added along the right side here of the image that's on the screen some examples. So we talked about having an emergency plumbing page. So you want to have Orlando Emergency Plumbing, 24-hour emergency plumbing service in Orlando. That might be a good title for your emergency page. Your water heater page, you might want to have Orlando Water Heating Repair, Water Heater Repair Service in Orlando, and then, drain cleaning, Orlando drain cleaning service in Orlando, Florida, etc. So you get the idea. What I really want you to understand is that you want to update the title tag so they've got your city modifier on your pages. And so Ed Dorsey, I'm sorry, Ed, I pronounced your last name wrong. Ed's got a question for us. How often should you blog on your website? And I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. Content is king. You need to be adding content on a pretty consistent basis. I say you want to be doing at least one per week, at a minimum once per month. And your blog content should be informational in nature. It doesn't have to be how to pick the best plumbing company in Denver. It should be the differences between the tanked and tankless water heater. Information that somebody would read and say, hey, isn't that interesting? I'm glad I came across this and would want to share online. So I hope that answers your question, Ed. So probably at least once a month. I recommend once a week. So the second step in the on-page optimization process, we talked about the title tag. The next one is your H1 tag. And I've got an image up on the screen, and it's pointing to your H1 tag. You can go into the code and add H1s, or you can, in WordPress, is a very easy way to do it in most content management systems like Joomla and WordPress. You just set this text is my H1 tag. If you have a web developer, title tags, H1 tags, these things they should understand and be able to do relatively easy for you. So the same thing as the title tags, you want to figure out what the keyword was that you're trying to optimize for and implement that in your H1 tag on each page in your site. So the home page is city plus plumber. The next, the drain cleaning page, city plus drain cleaning, and try and make it read right. So don't just throw your keyword there. You could use your Orlando plumbing company or the best drain cleaning service in Orlando. Be creative and make sure that it reads right. So that's your title tag, your H1 tag. The other thing you can do is add some type of Geomap on your website. And there are various tools that'll do this. We use a tool called Nearby Now where the technicians can check in and the GPS data from that check-in would syndicate to your homepage and to the sub-city pages on your site. Doing something like this helps Google see what your true service area is, makes the content on the page unique, so you're not just posting the same thing again and again on each of your sub-city pages, and it's fresh content. So definitely that's kind of a ninja technique that I wanted to share. Have a heat map of some sort on your website. So just as an example of how this works, and I'll get to that in 1 second, Greg, I see you got a question. Again, once you've optimized these sub-city pages, you can rank for more than just your city plus plumber, your city plus plumbing. Tom Watson is a company that I work with currently actually in Miami, and he says, hey, now I have prominent placement for the keywords that are most important to me. Miami commercial plumber, Miami commercial plumbing contractor, Miami plumber, plumber in Miami, Miami tankless water heater, Miami water heater installation, and many others. So again, these strategies work. When you do it, you build out the pages, you optimize them in a way that Google understands, you'll start to rank for a vast array of keywords. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're able to take some of these ideas, techniques, and strategies and implement them in your plumbing or HVAC company. If you'd like more tips, ideas, and strategies, I'd encourage you to go to plumberseo.net/free. There you can download our free guide that takes you step by step through some of the best ideas, techniques, and strategies that we've come up with for really most effectively marketing your plumbing business online. We take you through really everything from how to build out your website, the pages you should have on your website based on the most commonly searched plumbing keywords, how to optimize those pages so that they rank well in search, and then how to build inbound links and authority so you can rank at the top of the search engines in the organic and map listings. Really talk a lot about how to optimize your Google map listing so that you can rank better on the map by getting more reviews, by establishing your name, address, and phone number, and of course how you can leverage social media, Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus to get more repeat and referral business. So download the guide for free of charge at plumberseo.net. And of course, if you'd like to talk with us, you can reach us directly anytime at 866-610-4647.